Ambassador Zexnai of the Galactic Council adjusted her ceremonial robes as she materialized on the bridge of the human flagship Indomitable. The teleportation technology left her momentarily disoriented, a side effect of crossing between incompatible dimensional frequencies. When her vision cleared, she found herself face to face with Admiral Sarah Chen, whose steely gray eyes held no warmth of diplomatic courtesy. "Welcome aboard, Ambassador," Chen said, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to commanding fleets across star systems. "Though I suspect this visit is somewhat overdue." Zexnai's translator implant struggled with the subtle undertones of human sarcasm. Around them, the bridge hummed with activity as human officers monitored tactical displays showing the positions of their 1,000-ship armada. Each vessel bristled with weapons technology that the Council's initial scans had found disturbingly advanced. "Admiral Chen," Zexnai began, her forearms gesturing in the traditional galactic greeting, "the Council extends its apologies for the oversight regarding Earth's inclusion in our diplomatic processes. We had assumed your species was still in early industrial development." Chen's laugh held no humor. "That was your first mistake. Your second was ignoring every communication we've sent for the past 50 years. The truth was embarrassing for the Galactic Council. Earth had been catalogued as a primitive civilization when their radio signals were first detected in the 2020s. Standard protocol dictated a monitoring period of several centuries before formal contact. The bureaucracy of the Council, spread across 17 different time zones and 43 distinct species, had simply forgotten to update Earth's status. Perhaps we could discuss this in a more private setting? Zexnai suggested, glancing nervously at the tactical displays. The human fleet formation was unlike anything in Council military doctrine. Where civilized species arranged their ships in ceremonial formations that prioritized communication and peaceful intent, the humans had deployed in what their analysts called a three-dimensional killbox. Admiral Chen gestured toward her ready room. As they walked, Zexnai couldn't help but notice the efficiency of the human crew. No wasted movement, no casual conversation, just the focused intensity of a military force operating at peak readiness. "Tell me, Ambassador," Chen said as the door sealed behind them, "how exactly does a galactic civilization lose track of an entire star system for half a century?" Zexnai's chromatophores shifted to embarrassed purple. "The Council operates on a deliberate timeline. Civilizations are typically observed for several centuries before contact protocols are initiated. Your species developed faster than our models predicted." "Faster?" Chen activated a holographic display showing Earth's technological progression. "We went from splitting atoms to folding spacetime in 70 years. We've been intercepting your observation post's communications for the last decade. Did you think we wouldn't notice the surveillance drones?" The uncomfortable truth was that humanity had not only noticed the alien observation, they had reverse-engineered Council technology, improved upon it, and then quietly built a space-based military-industrial complex that rivaled anything in the galaxy. All while the Council debated whether humans had discovered agriculture yet. "The Council's preliminary assessment suggested your species was still struggling with sustainable energy production," Zexnai offered weakly. Chen's smile was predatory. "We solved sustainable energy by building Dyson swarms around 3 different stars. We've been mining asteroids in 47 systems. Our deep space exploration ships have mapped more of this galaxy than your Council has in the past millennium. And every single communication we sent to your observation posts requesting formal contact was met with silence." The Admiral pulled up another display showing intercepted Council communications. Zexnai winced as she recognized her own people dismissing human attempts at contact as primitive radio noise and statistical anomalies in their development curve. "So we decided," Chen continued, "to make our introduction in a language the galaxy might understand." Through the Ready Room's viewport, Zexnai could see the human fleet extending to the horizon of local space. Each ship was a monument to applied physics, sleek, deadly, and incorporating technologies that shouldn't have been possible for a species barely 2 centuries removed from horse-drawn carriages. "Your ships," Zexnai said carefully, "they're using quantum tunneling drives. Those are theoretical even for council engineers. We're theoretical, Chen corrected. We've been using them for 15 years. Along with temporal shielding, matter compilers, and what we call aggressive diplomacy platforms. Aggressive diplomacy platforms? Chen's grin widened. Planet crackers. Though we prefer to think of them as negotiation enhancers. The implications hit Zexnai like a physical blow. Not only had humanity achieved technological parity with the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, they had done so while developing military applications that the peace-loving council had never considered necessary. The council will want to discuss terms, Zexnai said, her voice barely steady. I'm sure they will. Chen gestured toward the tactical display where more human ships were arriving via quantum tunneling, massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed anything in the council's defensive fleets. But here's the thing, Ambassador. We've been trying to discuss terms for 50 years. Every trade agreement, every technology sharing proposal, every request for formal recognition, ignored. Admiral Chen stood and walked to the viewport, her reflection ghost-like against the star field. So we built 1,000 ships, parked them in orbit around your capital world of Nexus Prime, and decided to have this conversation in person. Zexnai's four hearts nearly stopped. You're in orbit around Nexus Prime? That's impossible. Our defensive networks are impressive, Chen acknowledged. But they're designed to detect ships using Council technology. They weren't expecting vessels that phase shift through parallel dimensions while maintaining quantum entanglement with their base reality. The full scope of humanity's achievement began to dawn on Zexnai. While the Council had spent centuries perfecting the art of civilized discourse and peaceful coexistence, humanity had spent the same period perfecting the art of war. They hadn't just caught up to galactic civilization, they had surpassed it in every area that mattered for projecting power across interstellar distances. What do you want? Zexnai asked. Chen turned back to her, and for the first time, her expression showed something other than military authority. What we've always wanted. Recognition. Trade agreements. Cultural exchange. A seat at the galactic table. Her smile returned, sharp as a blade. The difference is, now we're not asking. And if the Council refuses? Chen gestured toward the tactical display where human ships continued to arrive, not just around Nexus Prime, but around every major Council world simultaneously. The display showed the impossible. Humanity had somehow coordinated a galaxy-spanning military deployment without the Council's knowledge. Then we'll find other ways to make friends, Chen said pleasantly. After all, we've had 50 years to study your civilizations, learn your languages, and understand your cultures. We know which Council members have been advocating for contact with Earth. We know which ones voted to maintain isolation. We know who our allies are. She paused, letting the implications sink in. And we know who our enemies are. Zexnai realized with crystalline clarity that the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted overnight. The Council's greatest strength, their deliberate, cautious approach to new civilizations, had become their greatest weakness when faced with a species that treated war as applied physics and diplomacy as another form of strategy. I'll need to consult with the Council, she said. Of course, Chen replied. Take all the time you need. We'll just be here, keeping an eye on things. After all, we wouldn't want to miss any more meetings. As Zexnai prepared to transport back to Nexus Prime, she couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy had just gotten much smaller, and much more dangerous. The humans hadn't just arrived on the galactic stage, they had kicked down the door and rearranged the furniture. And somehow, she suspected, this was just the beginning.